Hi folks, hope you're well today. Colin here, back with more rock and roll, but today I'm going to tell you a bit about my record collection. So I was going to do some videos, just sharing some of the music that I've listened to as I've been growing up. I had this book, 1001 albums to listen to before you die, and I've read it all, and none of my records are in it, which is quite strange. So I think there needs to be a bit of a balance brought to this situation. So I'm going to start off. My first record I'm going to talk about today is called This Is The Story by The Proclaimers. Now this came out in 1987. I was living up when it came out, when The Proclaimers first came to my consciousness. I was living up near Elgin, up in the northeast of Scotland, still at school, and I heard these guys singing on the radio in Scottish accents, and it was just bizarre because we'd never heard that before. I don't think there's been many other than sort of traditional folk music kind of entertainers. Sort of pop music was never sung with a Scottish accent. So that was really interesting, and I heard them being interviewed on the radio and I could hardly understand a word that they were saying, and that was amazing to me, being a Scottish person myself. Anyway, the songs on here are all brilliant. So this was when they were together at this time. They were just performing as a duo and they didn't have a big band. They just used to turn up at venues. There'd be two of them. So if you look at the kind of the instruments on this album, there's basically like just the two brothers, Charlie Reid and Craig Reid. And Craig Reid is down here as playing tambourine, bongos and maracas. Now you just don't get that anymore. You don't get guys turning up at gigs playing bongos and maracas, and I think that's a great loss to music in general. Charlie Reid, he's down here playing the acoustic six string and the 12 string, and also the acoustic bass as well. So that was kind of what they had when you turned up at a gig. They were kind of on the way up. By the time I moved down to Edinburgh in '87, when this came out, they'd really just about made it. This album didn't make them. Well, it kind of did, because they got the Letter from America. That was the single that came out that kind of made them. But it was actually the next album, I think, where they started to get really famous, and then after that they got featured in Shrek and stuff like that. But this is my favourite album, and to me it's very pure. It's a Scottish take on country music, and it's got bits of kind of spiritual, kind of Baptist sort of vibes about it as well. And I remember I used to go and see them. I saw them a couple of times in Edinburgh. The first time I saw them was at the Usher Hall in Edinburgh, and they really made their fame in Edinburgh. And there was just two of them on the stage. So Charlie was playing the guitar and Craig was playing the bongos, and it was kind of like being at a sort of Baptist sort of church, because everybody was singing along with all the songs. So there's some great songs on here. This is definitely my favourite Proclaimers album, which is a bit of a shame really, because it's the first one, but I think it's just because it came at the right time in my life. So the first song on here is called Throw the R Away. Now that song is really about singing in a Scottish accent or speaking in a Scottish accent, because back in the day when you were at school you weren't allowed to use Scottish words in class, and it was all kind of suppressed a little bit. And indeed, when I first started working, I was discouraged from speaking in a Scottish accent because I was supposed to be a professional person. So that was good. Over and done with. One of the best lyrics I've ever heard. It starts off saying, "This is the story of my first teacher. Shetland made her jumpers and the devil made her features." I just think that's just a great line. And if you grew up in Scotland in the 70s, like me and so many others, ubiquitous Shetland jumpers and teachers sort of did go together quite a lot. All these songs are really brilliant. They all kind of hark back to it's almost like a late 50s, early 60s sort of vibe. Very pure. Of course, it's got the Letter from America on it, which is a song about, basically, it makes a parallel between the clearances, the Highland clearances that took place in the 18th century when they got all the people off the land. At that time, people used to have to work on the land, and they just got by it was very difficult to survive. But they weren't making enough money for the landowners, so they were basically driven off the land. Their houses were burnt. If they didn't move out of their house, they actually got burnt inside their house, type of thing. And they were encouraged to emigrate to America. So this is where the letter from America sort of comes from. And then it's basically drawn a parallel with the sort of post-industrialisation in the sort of 70s and 80s in Scotland. So it's like Bathgate no more, Linwood no more. And, you know, it's talking about how it's the same process, you know, this never-ending process of modernisation and how it impacts communities. So it's very interesting. I recommend you listen to that. Every party that you went to in the 80s, when you went to a party, there was always somebody in the corner singing the joyful Kilmarnock blues, and it got a bit annoying after a while, but it just shows you how much these songs meant to people at the time. Anyway, I recommend this album. Have a listen to it. I'll put the links to it in the video, and you can check out the songs and give me your thoughts and your comments. I appreciate that. Okay, thanks very much. See you next time.